Avatar early this year. Last year, Avatar, for those that don't know, Avatar is aggravated Vikings anticipatory traumatic abandonment reaction syndrome. You know how there ain't no cure for the summertime blues? We don't know if there's a cure for Avatar. We think the only thing that would rid planet Earth, or at least the upper Midwest, of Avatar would be a big game victory for the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings. But until that occurs, we'll never know. It's like when the Gold Dust twins, Rappaport and Jones, I don't recall the first names. They were the management team for Gentleman Jerry Cooney, a undefeated heavyweight out of New Jersey back in the 80s. And he was knocking everybody out in the first round. And some media schlub asked him, they said, can he take a punch? And one of the Gold Dust twins said, we might never know.
Brilliant!
Mike Jones and Denny Rappaport. We might never find out. He might never get hit. He finally did get hit. He got knocked out by Larry Holmes in the 13th round, and then he went on to, that was basically it. He fought half a dozen more times, lost 4 of them, I think.
Similar theory with Monday Night Football guys comedy.
Yes. I played golf with Jerry Cooney before. Jerry came to town. He was going to do he was into town for a fundraiser as a guest of Scott Ledoux. They were raising money for Ledoux's charity. And it was going to be a sparring session, with headgear and big 16-ounce gloves. Cooney was going to spar Brock Lesnar and the superstar Mike Morris. Both Lesnar and Morris backed out the day up. No! Yep. So it was my job. Jerry liked to golf, so it was my job to set up golf. So my brother and I played with Gentleman Jerry Cooney and Scotty Ledoux at the Old Hastings Country Club. And I kind of regret that I didn't ask Jerry a lot about his career, because I didn't know if that's what, you know how it is, tend to be, well-known people. That happens to you all the time. What's it like being Tennessee? How did you come up with tarp shooter? Can you tell that story about when you were really just trying to check swing it in a slow pitch softball game on a 3 home run limit league and you hit it over the fence? You get those things all the time, and after a while you get tired of answering those questions over and over and over again. So it's like telling you, so tell me about when you got stopped by Larry Holmes. Tell me about when you knocked out this guy. Tell me about this. Tell me about that. Emphasis lat. So I didn't talk much. We just basically played golf. But I look back on it and wish I would have spent more time talking to him. But we didn't. I mean, talking about his career, but we did not do that. Yeah, so it's basically dim the lights, draw the curtain, and fade to black. That was, boy, it's this roller. This is the Viking season. I would compare it to Valley Fair, the roller coaster at Valley Fair. What is it called at Valley Fair?
Well, there's multiple roller coasters there.
Is it Viper or Venom? Don't they have one that's called either Viper?
I only go back to the Excalibur days, and the corkscrew and Wild Thing.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
New stuff I haven't been on.
Wild Thing. You make my heart sing.
They've had a new one since Wild Thing.
So you're up and you're down. We were so high. She's so high above me.
So lovely.
So lovely. Like Cleopatra, Joan of Arc, or Aphrodite.
So you're saying I should have done Roller Coaster of Love for the...
Maybe that's what we should...
for the montage. I actually did think about that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Love roller coaster. You can
say what?
Can you do? I'll do
roller coaster.
Say what?
Of love.
And we could have done it because it's been. I mean, we were so high last week after a convincing victory over a pretty good Detroit team. We saw how good they were again yesterday. Did you see Danny Campbell was calling the plays?
I did.
The whole first 10 minutes of his news conference after the game, they were asking him about it. He tried to be kind. No, John Morton is still helping me a lot. I just thought we had to do a little something different. That was basically John Morton got demoted. You're not calling plays. And Deuce and I first noticed because Campbell's wearing readers on the sideline, staring at the play sheet.
I always love that.
He looked like Santa Claus without the beard. You know, the little tiny glasses. But, yeah, anyway, so we beat the Lions. We put ourselves back in the thick of things. JJ was pretty good. Wasn't great. There's going to be a learning curve. You know, he's on training wheels, I guess, right? And then yesterday, God, such a good start to the game, too. Didn't Baltimore go 3 and out? Or maybe they got 1 first down, but they were done. They punted. We marched down.
Yeah, we scored.
We just carved them up. I mean, just sliced and diced. And McCarthy looked good. Running game was okay, and it looked good. And then even at a halftime lead, and then we kind of blew it on either side. You know how they always say one of the most important parts of the game is the 2 minutes going into the half and the 2 minutes coming out of the half. Mm-hmm. And the Vikings kind of we had the ball. And we gave it up in 3 downs, right? And then we throw a couple of incompletions.
Quickly, yeah.
Because the coach is obsessed with throwing the football. And maybe I don't recall the exact circumstance. Maybe that was the only thing we could do. But then the Ravens got the ball back, and they didn't have much more than, 40 seconds, 30, whatever it was. They got into field goal range. They kicked the figgy. They're down, I think, 3 at the half or 4, whatever it was. Maybe it was just 1.
It was 10-9 at the half.
10-9 at the half, 1 point. And then we got the ball. Did we fumble the opening kickoff? Was that the fumble, or was that later on? It all kind of runs together.
I think the fumble was after they had kicked a field goal to take the lead.
Okay, that's what it was. So somehow we started the half with a couple of nice runs, I think. We ran, got a couple of first downs, then we had to give the ball up, and we got behind, and the Ravens never looked back. And I didn't think the Ravens played that well, to be honest with you. I mean, Lamar looked like Wentz. Well, a little better, but you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was doing anything spectacular. They were just... And the Vikings defense, we'll get into all of it as we go on here. The Vikings defense actually did play well. Again, they stopped the Ravens on numerous drives and forced them to kick figgies until it got deeper into the second half. But Vikings lose. They dropped to 4-5. Yeah, it was not fun. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Peek at the purple other side of the break. Right now, they'll tend to be as a keyword with our national cash contest.
The fan and 2 men in a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword check at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. That keyword is check. Enter now at KFAN.com. Hey, Rubes, this football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. Just head over to KFAN.com, keyword contest, to learn more and enter today. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Couple 13-14 pass. Peek at the purple, brought to you by my pals at Affordable Electric. They're not some big city franchise with big city slickers. They're your neighbors. They're your friends. They're your pals. They've been serving the Twin Cities, homes and small businesses for over 25 years. From quick fixes, service upgrades, their electricians show up on time, ready to work with respect for your home, because that's what Minnesota nice looks like in the trades. I like that. Affordable Electric, real electricians, real people, really good work. Affordable-electric.com, affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. Strong. So, there's a lot to sift through. Is it possible that U.S. Bank Stadium is the Vikings' La Brea Tar Pit? Haven't they lost 4 in a row there, or 3 of the last 4? They've not played well.
Their only win there is the Cincinnati game, right?
It's not, it's supposed to be home sweet home. They've had a weird schedule. They had 2 games across the pond back to back. But there's a lot to sift through. I bring up La Brea Tar Pit because someday archaeologists and paleontologists will sift through the rubble that will be 1600 Utica Avenue South, my La Brea Tar Pit, and stumble across the skeletal remains of the common man. There's plenty to sift through. The 9. Did you see my tweet?
I did.
A listener gave that to me. Full disclosure, usually I just steal them. I don't steal it. They provide it to me, and I don't credit but I will credit this time. It was a listener that I think I've heard from before, but it wasn't Maury Amsterdam guy. When I told him about it, he was bitter that he didn't come up with it.
It did sound like a very Maury Amsterdam guy type line.
And it went something like, instead of his alter ego, he's got to rename his alter ego from 9. If he keeps playing like this to 9 to 5, he's going to have to get a desk job. He didn't have the most efficient of games. He threw a couple of interceptions in the game. 20 for 42, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. I mean, he had more incompletions than he had completions. He looked a little like Sam Darnold in that Lions game last year. Remember in that last Lions game of the season? It was the last game of the season. Vikings trying to clinch home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and he overthrew receivers over and over and over again, almost like he was jacked up on caffeine or something. He just overthrew every wide receiver. And I'm telling you, we saw that. It seemed like a half a dozen times with McCarthy yesterday.
You know, I know you can relate to this because you're one of the best I've ever seen around the greens.
Thank you.
Right? When you're chipping from off the green, and there's different, depending on where your lie is and whether there's a sand trap in front of you, where the pin is, there's different
runs.
There's different elevations of how you can get it on the ground right away and let it roll. You can
bump and run, as we like to say.
You can 50% of the way you can have the ball in the air. Yeah. Like, he doesn't seem to have the ability to change between. He's kind of like me. That's how I golf.
Yeah.
I can only chip the one way. Yeah, I can only chip one way. He doesn't seem to have like the different variations in his ability to throw the football. Which might explain why they all get batted down at the line, because he can't actually put a little touch over the line. I
thought I read that there was 3 batted down passes. There were more than that, wasn't there?
Was there only 3? It felt like more.
I think there were more. I think there were 5 or 6.
I felt like Kyle Hamilton alone had 3.
Yeah, it seemed like it was more than that to me. Well, you're right. You know, and we talked a couple of times last week about, during the Lions game, Brady talked about having to have those 3 kind of throws. The one you have to, you throw the frozen rope, you throw it hard, you bullet it in there, and you have your touch passes and all the different kinds of passes. And you're right, he didn't really seem to have that touch pass. He threw a couple of really nifty balls. He always does.
Sure.
I mean, how many times have you and I have talked about this so often? Every guy in the league can quarterback a little bit. That's why they're there. You don't get drafted if all of a sudden you get in there and go, this guy's got zero idea what he's doing. They generally, it's just that once they get, you can play Fridays and Saturdays. You think about it in college football, how many major universities are there? There's literally hundreds of thousands of college football players. You can narrow that down in NFL, 53 guys on 32 teams. You're talking about the best in the world, right? So it's, for a lot of guys, it's just the game's too fast. They just don't have the talent. They're all right, but they can't do it. And look, he's still, I'm not throwing in the towel on him.
No.
And not by any way, shape, or form. But yeah, there's going to be a learning curve there. And that was part of the problem with the whole the team's plan. What they did was, they kind of wanted to have it both ways. We want to win now, so you improve the interior of both lines, and then you see if you can kind of spoon feed a young quarterback, and if you provide him with enough weapons and enough cover, enough time, and a good defense and good protection, and give him time, you can maybe we can win some games. And it's but yesterday was not good. There are a lot of people are complaining about the play calling again, because they did run the ball pretty well. I mean, but they kind of went away from the run. And I think there was that one point in the game where we had a 3rd and 1. Was it near midfield or just into Baltimore territory? And they decided to go for the long pass to Jefferson, incomplete. And then what happened on the next play? Was it a sack or was it the interception? Something happened.
I think the Justin Jefferson one was the interception.
Was that the interception? Yeah, that was right. That's exactly what happened. It was the interception is what happened. The coach was asked about it in the post-game news conference. He said, well, look, I'll take Jefferson one-on-one every time. And he's right.
Sure.
You don't expect the players to get tangled up in blue, but they did. And then he said, I was going to go on 4th down no matter what, which we got to take his word for it, and he probably was. But there are those that would still say, why don't you just run it on 3rd and 1? Why do we have to, And again, I think most teams like to take that shot. So I can't really I can't be too critical of that decision, but it does seem like he likes to throw. I mean, that's 42 passes in the game. Is that what, did I just say that? Is that the number of passes? That's a lot of throw, especially for a young kid. But, game situations kind of dictate what happens. Defense, I thought, they stopped Baltimore on a number of occasions when they got into Viking territory and they have to settle for figgies. But at the very end, I don't know if it was getting tuckered or not. I think that's always thrown out as an alibi. The defense is starting to get a little tired. Well, yeah, we're all tired. So, but yeah, it was a game that they could have had. I mean, it wasn't like Baltimore's brilliant. The Vikings were pretty good early. The fumble by the Price kid. He had a big story. Rat wrote about him. Fish Rat Factory West Side. He'd been really good returner for us. And then it seems like almost. I'd read in the story about him where he said, I told him I'm going to return one of these days, and I think he's so determined to make an impact, which I admire, right? I admire what he's doing, but that was a critical turnover. The
ball's the program.
Yeah, right. Well, he fumbled twice. We recovered one. But the one they recovered, I think they scored a tutty on it. So, we'll go ahead and continue to talk Purple other side of the break. Peek at the Purple brought to you by Affordable Electric. For all of your electrical needs, remember, affordable-electric.com is the place to go. More controversial Vikings talk and other topics on the other side of the break on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Join KFAN's Justin Guard this Sunday for a Vikings watch party unlike any other at the all-new Hop House at Mystic Lake Casino. Don't miss a minute of the action on the giant wall TV displays. Enjoy the best seats, food and beverages, trivia, and prize giveaways all game long, hosted by JG. Party kicks off at noon. Get the details at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He's Teneby, head coach of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings. Kevin O'Connell will address the assembled media roughly 12:45. Short segment here. We'll break. We'll try to catch that as soon as it begins. Text message here real quick that says, after years of ripping the Wolves because of post-game quotes of being outworked, hold on, I just lost it for a second. Of being outworked and then saying the NFL and NHL never mail it in, the NBA community wonders if Common will opine on Josh Allen's post-game quote saying the Dolphins just wanted it more and outworked us. Will Common cue the Houdini music and get out of this one? Or will he be the only talk show host to admit he is wrong? Well, no, I've never been wrong. My response to that, well, there's a first time for everything. Because I don't believe it's ever happened in the National Football League that another team just didn't put out the effort that's required. And my guess is I didn't hear the quote or see it, but I don't think that's the way Allen meant it. You take a play off in the NFL, you'll get killed. Same with the NHL. If your head's not on a swivel, you're in trouble. In the NBA, they admit that they just don't play defense. You watch it. You see it. Sometimes they don't even play defense. It's matador. So, but yeah, it sounds like that's what happens. That's the first time for everything. So, doesn't change my opinion on. If I know you love your basketball, you think it's the greatest sport ever, you can. That's great. I watch, baby. I went to basketball games for 10 years, every week, year round. Baby brother Peter played. I like basketball. I enjoy it very much. I just remember when watching baby brother Peter play, every team he played on, every kid gave it everything they had, start to finish. They never took time off. They never just said, I'm not going to play defense here. We see it happen in the pros all the time. They admit it.
Here would be my defense.
Yeah.
In the NFL, have you ever heard of load management?
Never heard of load management.
In the NHL, have you ever heard of load management?
They don't load manage.
No.
They do it in the NBA all the time. I just... There are going to be growing pains with McCarthy, but it's like... He was as inaccurate. I mean, he was making throws where it looked like he had some time to throw, folks. It wasn't like he was under siege. That wasn't much of a pass rush for the most part. I mean, I think it may have been, it was, we talk about, we bring up Mark Craig often, a football writer, Fish Rat Factory West Side, does his 5 extra points. He writes, he goes, besides McCarthy's worst throws came when there was no pressure. The Ravens' horrendous pass rush entered the game with only 11 sacks, second worst in the league, yet McCarthy looked rushed when he shouldn't have been. 2 of the 8 failed targets to Justin Jefferson stood out as unforced what-the-heck misfires on 4th and 3 from the Ravens' 14 and a 3rd of 10 from the Ravens' 35. He also had 3 balls batted down to the line of scrimmage, 2 by Kyle Hamilton. I thought it was more than that. He goes on to say McCarthy sometimes looked like a guy who needed a paper bag to breathe into, hyperventilating. Yet the first 10 times he was pressured in the first 3 quarters, he completed 4 of 9, including third down conversions to Jefferson for 10 and Naylor for 18. Bottom line, he's good, but not good enough to beat the typical NFL learning curve. Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride for a while.
Yeah. I
will say it could be for a long while. Now that we don't know, it could change next week. Everybody's learning curve is different.
Sure.
There's always the possibility, and dare I say this, and I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but he may never learn. I mean, to the point where
above average at that.
He doesn't become, a Carson Wentz type where he's a backup. He's okay, he can play in the league. I mean, I guess he could go anywhere from, and this would just be including Viking quarterbacks, he could go anywhere from Tarkenton to Ponder. And there was actually players that weren't even as good as Ponder, I think we've had under center over the years. But, yeah, it's, there's no, it seemed like Cousins and Darnold had no problem establishing a chemistry with Jet. Mm-hmm. None. I mean, it didn't matter which guy was thrown. He was simply brilliant. I mean, we know the numbers. He's the first person in NHL history to reach this amount of catches or this amount of yards or whatever they are in the shortest amount of time, right? I mean, he's been established. He's paid as the best wide receiver in pro football, and he probably is the best wide receiver in pro football. We've talked about it. You can make an argument or two, but that's got to change. Naylor was good.
It was really good.
He didn't target, the targets on Addy. He couldn't connect on those very much either. So, yeah, here's a lot of fans texted you and I on the KFAN text line, the Bradshaw and Broad KFAN text line. They said, stop the nonsense with Wentz. Let's see what we got with McCarthy. Well, you're seeing it now, and you're going to see it for the rest of the year. So this is what you're going to have to take. It can change, we know, but the Bears are pretty good. They've won 5 in a row or something, 4 in a row. They're 6-3. There's not an easy game in the schedule, as the Bills learned yesterday. Let's pause. Return when we come back. The head coach of the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings should be addressing the assembled media at the new Winter Park TCO Performance Center right here on the Fan.